Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to take a look at my Pult Tera box once again in the post-rotation format. Obviously this is a deck that I covered before the Pult Tera boxes in Japan started to make a showing, and this was more of a wacky build than what they came out with, because obviously they tend to stuck to, like Clefairy, Wellsprings, Owls, things like that, and obviously a 2-2 liner Pult is what they tended to play. Whereas I went with a bit of a more creative approach, as you can see on the right hand side. If you've not watched the previous video on this deck, I'll leave it in the description below, because it's a really funny build. And it worked quite well, if I do say so myself. Obviously we lost a Dengo, but, well, that's Dengo. But yeah, this was a really fun deck, and well, obviously that was built before rotation happened, so why not bring it back as post-rotation? So as per usual, in the description below there's going to be usual links. Double the deck list, which is also available to copy in the description below. There's the games that will play, and of course the outro, what I think to the deck, and of course my Discord server, which you are more than happy to join, should you wish to obviously, send me any decks, and obviously discuss decks, including this, what I would class as an abomination. So of course, today we're going to be taking a look at my Dragapult Tera box post-rotation build. Obviously, we've already seen that a lot of the Dragapult post-rotation decks are doing pretty well, like Pult Noir, Straight Pult, Tera box Pult. But obviously, my Tera box Pult approach is a little bit more, I would say, wacky, but also it's a bit more, it leans more into a Tera box, if that makes sense. I know it's quite an unusual, classification. But obviously, we do have access to the Dragapult in this list. We're only playing a 2-1-2 line. There's a reason why it's a 2-1-2 line, but I'll explain shortly. Obviously, Drakloak is a really nice draw engine for this deck. But the issue is that I was finding myself whiffing Teras a couple of times. So I've added in an extra Tera by cutting in a Drakloak. And so far in testing, literally not made a difference. Because a lot of the time, I'm playing my one-off candy to go into Pult pretty much immediately. So it's not been a major deal in that regard. But obviously, Phantom Dive for 200 plus 6 damage counters on our opponent's Pokemon in any way we like is crazy if you can get that off turn 2 going first. Because, this deck likes to go first, as you can imagine, with a, Tera box approach. Obviously, we do have, the Teal Mask Ogerpon in the list, which this isn't something we really attack with. You can attack with this card, but, well, we don't need to, because we have Iron Leaves. And Iron Leaves is a really good attacker. Obviously, it deals with the likes of Mega Absol, it deals with the likes of Mega Zygarde, and it's just a really solid attacker. And, well, it moves its own energy to itself, which does save a lot on resources, obviously, Energy Switch and things like that. But obviously, Iron Leaves does take 2 grass and a colorless. But obviously, we only play 4 grass. But obviously, if emergencies happen, we can Crispin to this guy. If we can only put, 1 grass plus a colorless, we can Crispin for the other grass and obviously attach the energy elsewhere, or the other energy that is. And to be honest, in testing, this card's been really solid. But of course, if you've watched the previous one, you'd know that. Obviously, we do have a Moltres added in now. If memory serves, I didn't put this in the original build because I didn't think I'd need it. Obviously, at the time, it wasn't really a relevant card because, whilst Moltres is a relevant card now because of all the grass decks running around, obviously back then, the major threat to this deck was Gholdengo, and this fell short, without, Dragapult putting counters down. Obviously, we need to put 4 counters on a Dengo, and, well, that's something we can't really rely upon. But obviously, now that we've seen a lot more Teal Mask in the post-rotation, it made sense to add a Moltres, and, well, we play Fire Energy anyway, so it just made sense. Obviously, we are keeping 2 Wellsprings, 2 Latias, and of course, we do have a Clefairy in this list. We already play Psychic Energy, it counters Lucario, which is pretty good, and it also counters the Pult Mirror, which is also nice. Otherwise, I've tried to keep the list pretty much how it was from the original build. But obviously, the new card in this list is a Terapagos. Now, we don't play a Lightning Energy, so we can't Crown Opal in this list, but there is an option. Well, I say we can't, we can, but you need to commit your Water Energy to this, and also a Grass Energy, then the Crystal. And to be fair, Crown Opal's not too relevant right now. Unless you're facing post-rotation Bolt, it's not too relevant. But we're mainly using it as a Tera Pokemon, but obviously the Unified Beatdown attack is really good if we can get it set up. It's a really good cornerstone answer, and hitting 240 is a pretty solid number anyway when you combine the Pult package and everything like that. Otherwise, like I said, I've tried to keep it as simple as possible. Well, I say simple as possible, it's a wacky, Pult Tera box deck, but, I've tried to keep it as original to the original build as I could, but obviously, I don't know why I said double Latias, there's only one in this list, but you know what I mean. I tried to keep it to the original build as much as possible, because obviously, this is a post-rotation build of this deck, and it just felt right to keep it how it was, because then I'm not copying a Japanese list, I'm adding my own spin on it. But anyway, let's go to the deck list, because I've waffled on a bit too much in this intro section, and let's have a look. And welcome to the deck list. As you can see, this is what some would call a pile, but, well, I've kind of grown a bond to this deck, because I've put so much time into it, added in, the relevant attackers, tried to, make the list a bit more, focused on consistency. Like I said, the only things that I would really recommend, I don't know why I said double Latias earlier, because I know this list doesn't play double, is funnily enough a double Latias. I think this list kind of needs it. Pricing Latias can really limit your options, especially if you start something like Bloodmoon. But obviously this deck is a bit wild, but it's supposed to be, It's also something where I think a Serrano would be pretty good in this deck, but I've not really found the room for it. Because obviously we need to play Dawn so we can get into our Pults a little bit easier. We also need to play Brox and or Serrano to obviously find our basics and stuff like that. Brock is mostly better, because obviously Brox does... it can find us Fan Rotom, it can find us, Terapagos, Wellspring, can find us Fez, can find us, Teal Ogerpon. But Serrano focuses more on the EXs, so we can even grab Pult, Wellspring a lot easier. Because obviously Brox can only grab you basics or one evolution Pokemon. And a lot of the time we want to be grabbing multiple. So maybe, a Serrano could go in this list. But I've not really found a room for it. But anyway... So of course we've got 3 Hootoots, 3 Noctowls, 2 Dreepies, 1 Drakloak, 2 Dragapult EXs, 2 Wellsprings, 2 Fan Rotoms, 1 Latias, which I really think should be 2 in this list, 1 Fez, 1 Clefairy, 1 Bloodmoon, 1 Teal Mask, 1 Iron Leaves, 1 Moltres, and 1 Terapagos. Then of course we have 4 Crispin, 2 Boss, 2 Brox, 1 Dawn, 1 Lilies, 1 Judge. We don't play any hand disruption, so I just added in a Judge. You kind of need to for a Tera box deck, but obviously we're playing Crystal as a race spec. We're not playing Stamp, so 1 copy of Judge was just added in as a bit of copium at the same time, but also we kind of need some hand disruption. Then of course we have 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Energy Switch, 2 Night Stretchers, 1 Tera Orb, which is really good in combination with Tera Orb, Rare Candy into Pult, plus you have Crystal in hand. Yeah, you can get a 1 energy Pult off most of the time, if obviously Pult's going to be your main attacker. Sometimes obviously we do need to commit our Crystal to Wellspring. We can even commit it to Teal Mask if in a pinch, to get a Mirror Leaf Shaft in 90 off, but a lot of the time we don't want to be doing that. Then of course we have 1 Air Balloon, which to be fair, I think you could probably cut this for the second Latias, but so far Air Balloon is just useful for, putting it on a Noctowl so you don't have to commit an energy. Then of course we have 3 Area Zero, which again I think you could go down to 2 for this. 4 Grass, 3 Fire, 2 Psychic, 1 Water. Like I said, this is kind of like my baby for this channel. Ever since I made this deck a couple of months ago, and I put the time into it that I did, I mainly did it for a day, and to be brutally honest, I didn't think it was going to work as well as it did for that video. But it would feel criminal to allow this deck to die off in the rotation, this wacky variant of mine. But like I said, one of the first things you could do is cut a Crispin. I think that's pretty fair. You could cut a Crispin. You could cut the Air Balloon. You could then add in a Latias and a Serrano. Serrano would be really good in this deck. You could even cut a Brox for 2 Serrano, I think, and you'd be fine with this idea. Other than that, really, not a lot really needs to change about this list. The only thing that you could obviously, consider is, like I said, the Serranos, second Latias. Other than that, I can't really think of anything. Maybe second Candy, because obviously we are reliant on, the 1 Drakloak, if obviously we're item locked via Badoo. We are reliant on that 1 Drakloak, which obviously we can prize it. So maybe a second Candy could be considered, but with it being a 2-1-2 line, I don't think it's necessary. But, it's something to consider. But other than that, honestly, this deck has been a blast to revisit. I'm really hoping it can pull its weight today. So let's get into a match, see how we do. And welcome to our first game. I'm looking forward to seeing how this deck does in the post-rotation format. Although, I'm pretty confident with this deck. It's a deck that I'm really glad has been, you know, as successful as it has. You know, like, I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but the fact that this deck can just, you know, do what it needs to do, and it's still, you know, a Tera box port approach, I'm glad I've been able to keep this deck, you know, mostly relevant to how it was when I did the original build. And like I said, the original build I did was a dare. You know, I didn't have to do it. I did it as a dare, and yeah, it's really gone from there. We do start the Fez, which could be an issue, but I'm fine with that. And it's Cynthia's Garchomp. This could be interesting. This will be tough, though, I will say. We're going to need to hope that, you know, we don't lose out on our Teal Mass package and stuff like that. And speak of the devil, and he shall appear, so we will bench him straight away. Let's play the Buddy Poffin, grab ourselves a Dreepy and a Fan Rotom. We've got all three Hootoots, we've got both Polts, we've got a Noctowl in hand, we've got the Drakloak in hand as well, Latias is in the deck. We have prize 1 Wellspring, but I'm not worried about that, that's fine. We've got a boss in hand, so that's fine. Crystals in hand. We've also got energies. This is a really solid board state to start us off with. So we'll do that. We'll play the Fan Call. We'll grab ourselves 2 Hoots and a Noct. Do that. Do that. Pass. I'll save the Ultra Ball for later. Because we might be able to get a turn 2 Pult off, which would be insane. I didn't check Rare Candy, that's the only thing I didn't check. Which will affect my decision, obviously, if I need to get rid of this Drakloak or not. But obviously I can Noctowl for, you know, Crystal and check. If it's not in there, it's not a big deal. I'll go Wellspring instead. It's not a major deal. Just means a 1 energy Pult isn't happening, I'm afraid. But I'm sure we can all live with that. Okay, there's a Badoo, so we're not getting a Rare Candy off. But that is fine, because, you know, I can just monk this on the head anyway. I can just Wellspring it. Obviously, we need to get energy down onto Teal Mask, but, well, they don't know this list, so I might be able to catch them off guard. But here comes the Badoo. Here comes Badoo. I'm not worried about the Badoo, it's not a major deal. There's a Cynthia's Gible. They don't really play candies in this list, so again, I'm not too worried. And there's an Itchy Pollen. That is fine. Let's see what we can get. There's the candy, which just rubs salt in the wound, I'll be honest. So, I think I Drakloak first, because then I can see the card, a potential card that I want. There's a Crystal. Excellent. Let's see, what do I really do here? Like, I can obviously, you know, go Crispin and obviously, you know, start accelerating energy. But, like, outside of that, what do I really do this turn? Like, it's one of those situations. I mean, I could just bonk this with Fan Rotom and accelerate an energy to the Teal Mask, which I think is fine. So I think I'll do that instead. But then again, no, I can't accelerate an energy to the Teal Mask. I would need to, you know, get something in that regard. So I think we just do that. We'll accelerate the grass to the Fez. We'll attach to the Fan. Retreat into the Fan. I'm not going to Noctowl now. I think it's a risk if I do that. So we'll just Assault Landing, take out the Badoo, and go from there. I think this is fine. I think it's fine, because then what we can do is we can Ultra Ball away this candy, and we can get, you know, a turn to pull off. Because like I say, this Cynthia's, you know, this Cynthia's Gabite, he's not going to Rare Candy this. So the nice thing is we can get early damage in on this guy. We resist fighting with the Fan anyway, and we can Noctowl for what we need without, obviously, you know, affecting the deck. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm pretty happy with this. And the nice thing is, with the damage we're going to be putting on this Gabite, even with the Cynthia's power weight, Iron Leaves can still take a knockout. So we're going to put 4 on this, 1 on this, and 1 on this. There's Petrol. Oh, of course he plays Stamp. Why are you playing Stamp in Garchomp? That just feels weird. Why? That just feels weird. Well, there's Pult, so that's one piece of the puzzle. Why are you playing Stamp in this deck? This thing needs Neo Upper. This deck needs Neo Upper. I don't care what anyone says. Okay. You really don't want to attach here, because if I get Pult off, you've had it. You need to attach the one on the bench. There's another Night Stretcher. Are you seriously going to go for the Badoo lock again? Bear in mind, I just whacked your Badoo in the face. Like, the Battle Cage is annoying, but I play Triple Stadium. No, he's got a Dragon Slice. Okay. Not really sure what you're planning there. So let's go for the Drakloak. That's not really relevant right now, but the Grass Energy does help us. So let's Teal Dance to the Ogerpon. There's another Grass. I mean, I could just boss the Roselia. But no, I can actually boss the Badoo. Take out the Badoo. And then I can, you know, prepare Pult later. I'm not really worried. Because if I hit this, I'm not really gaining anything. So I'm just going to boss the Badoo. And Assault Landing. Take it out. I'm not worried in the slightest. The fact that they're having to Dragon Slice and they're not using Gabite, or they're not using Premium Power Pro to take out Fan Rotom, I'm completely fine with this, you know? Don't really have a lot going on, which is good. We want that. Because the thing is, if they manage to knock us out, we can potentially find out Iron Leaves, or we can bonk their Garchomp in the face later on. We're not going to do it now, because we only do 360 damage with weakness. But obviously we're going to be losing our Fan Rotom here, but that's fine. Because like I said, we can take out this guy. The only problem is Pult is now vulnerable to being one-shot by Draconic Buster. But, given what I've just said, I think we're okay. So let's see what we can do. Because what are we down so far? I'm going to promote Drakloak. Let's see what we get. There's Fan. I'm going to Teal Dance first. Okay, that's fine. There's for 3. There's Noctowl. That gets us what we need. Recon. There's Latias and Boss. We will take the Latias. Because now we can go for a Noctowl. Seeker, because obviously we have the Teal Mask Ogerpon in play. We can now go for a Crystal and an Area 0. Do we have the Iron Leaves in deck? We do. Excellent. Because, like I say, I can, you know, bonk this later with Iron Leaves, and then we just need to recycle Iron Leaves or a way to, you know, take out this Garchomp. So, we go Crystal, Dragapult, attach... Actually, I'm going to attach Psychic, because obviously Moltres could come in later. Area 0 to bump the Stadium. Then, I could bench Wellspring, because we could get this going later. I'll bench Latias as well. We've already flipped the script. Do I need to Brox for anything? I don't think so. So I'm just going to Phantom Dive. I'm going to put 4 on the Garchomp, like so. And then 1 on each Roserade. Like I said, the fact that we can't take out these Roserades right now is a problem, so we are going to get Draconic Busted. But it does mean we can, you know, take out this Garchomp, and then he has no energy on this Garchomp. So I'm not really worried about losing the Pult here. Pult's done his job in this matchup. He's played his Stamp. And like I said, we can now take this out with Teal Mask, even with him discarding both energy. Because we're doing 30, 60, 90, 120, 240. You can even go into this, but he's already turn attached. He's already turn attached to this. Unless he plays Energy Switch, which is very unlikely, he can't attack with a Spiritomb this turn. Maybe he thinks I don't have an answer to this, but I do. It's called Iron Leaves. It's good to play the Lilies. Why did you play the Fighting Gong then? That's just unusual, but sure. And there we go, Tronic Buster for 320, take out the Dragapult. That's fine. That is completely fine. Obviously, we already have enough Teras in play, so we don't need to worry about Area Zero's drawback. We'll promote the Latias, and we will draw for turn. There's a Crispin, that's good to see. Let's go for the flip the script. Okay, that's fine. We'll go for a box scouting. Grab ourselves Iron Leaves, and I will grab myself... Probably no, Moltres doesn't really feel too good. I'll grab myself another Dreepy. Did I get rid of my candy? No, that's fine then. So I'll bench the Dreepy. I will go into Iron Leaves. So like I say, what's he going to do about this? Maybe he thinks I don't have enough energy? Spoiler alert, my friend. I do. Prism Edge 360. I'll take that. I will 100% take that. That's why we play the grass package. It's just so good not to have it in this deck. Now, we could have game if we manage to find an energy switch. Well, we need two actually. We'd need to find both our energy switches. Even then, how much health is this on? This is on, what, 290? Yeah, we can't take it out just yet, but that's fine. That is completely fine. I can even, you know, sob a Roserade. There's not much he's going to be able to do about that either. Because then I can just go sob Roserade with Wellspring, and then I can obviously, you know, Torrential Pump, knock this out, and that's game. And it forces them to gust the Iron Leaves. There's a Judge. Okay. That's fine. There's Candy Boss, and that's fine. And Dawn as well. Okay. And Corkscrew Dive for 160. Hit the Iron Leaves. Okay. So like I said, what I'm thinking here is, if I can find energy, which that's not it, unfortunately. I mean, I could play Crispin for turn now. Because then I get both energy onto my Wellspring, and then all I need to do is get an energy, and then we just win. Because we can boss for game. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to Crispin, take you and you. Do that. Attach to you. Obviously, I can't attack with this guy, but I could give him the Dreepy. I might give him Noctowl, actually, because that would probably benefit me more. Yeah, I'll give him the Noctowl, but then again, no, I need to retreat this. Do I give him Teal Mask? Because the Teal Mask draw could be relevant, but he'll probably gust this, because he loses with, you know, that. I'll give him Teal Mask. That way I'm forcing him. Either he can, you know, take out Wellspring, or he takes out Iron Leaves. Because we have game with Boss on this Spiritomb if he doesn't do anything. Because obviously we could gust the Spiritomb, Night Stretch for an energy using the Ultra Ball to obviously get us a Noctowl, and we can go from there. So he has a choice here. Kill Leaves, kill Wellspring. If he kills Leaves, we just do the boss, you know, as we said. If he kills Wellspring, we can win with Leaves. Pokepad. He has to find Gust this turn. If he doesn't find Gust this turn, he loses. Even with a Symphia's Power Weight, this is dead. There's Spiritomb. He's powered up his Spiritomb. If he goes into Spiritomb, he also loses. Because then I just go Wellspring into this. Let's see what he does. Because Raging Curse is doing like what? 120, I think? Yeah. And well, unfortunately for my opponent, that is going to be game. So we will Ultra Ball away Hoothoot and Dawn. We'll grab a Noctowl, just make sure we have Crispin plus energy in deck. And we do. Excellent. So now we go... Why can't I... Are you kidding me? The game's froze? Okay, there we go. That bugged out a little bit then. But we can at least, you know, go for the Jewel Seeker. Thank God PTCGL didn't crash then. We can go Crispin, Night Stretcher. Play the Crispin. Accelerate these energies. And then we free retreat into the Wellspring. Torrential Pump. Don't freeze game, thank you. We take out the Spiritomb, and we take out the Gabite for game. And that is why the Teal Mask Ogerpon package is so important. I could have even done it with, you know, Boss with the Iron Leaves, but I wanted Wellspring to have its turn, you know? Technically, I'm taking longer to do my attacks and stuff, but, you know, technically that's like that's BMing, but, you know, I want to give my deck a chance to flex what it can do, you know? I don't just want it to be, you know, Iron Leaves plus Pole, you know? There's other attackers in this list. Like I say, Fan Rotom even took 2 prizes this game. But no, that was a really solid game against Symphy's Garchomp, and that's exactly why we play a Teal Mask package, plus the Iron Leaves. It is so important not, like, to have it. Anywho, let's go to game 2. And welcome back to game 2. That was, well, I've had to deal with another technical issue, but luckily I've been able to record this on a different day. I literally accidentally clicked on, like, play before obviously hitting record today. And I literally just paired against this guy, so hopefully he doesn't think like I've done like a decklist error or something. But he didn't have anything revealed at the very least. Oh, that's a Bloodmoon start. We don't like to see that. That is not good. Yeah, he's playing Salazzle. I got a bit of a spoiler. I have no idea what he's cooking, but I'm hoping we can have some fun here. Obviously, the first game recorded perfectly fine. Basically, to summarize the software issue I had, essentially, I went to, obviously, record game 2, and then my hard drive was like, no, you're not. We're just going to, you know, muck around here. Ooh, it's the Petron build. Okay, this ought to be interesting. So we'll go you, Ultra Ball, you. In fact, can I get rid of a fire? Yeah. But then again, I want to attach an energy for turn, so we want to do that. We don't need to Fan Rotom. We can grab ourselves a Dreepy and get that established. And then I'll Ultra Ball away these two, grab myself... What do I realistically grab here? Do I just grab Fan Rotom and, you know, do that? I mean, I can grab Drakloak, because my Latias is in deck, but, like, I'm not really doing anything outside of that. And I'll just pass. I don't really have a lot going on in this opening turn. But Salazzle EX, that is a card I was never expecting to meet on the ladder. But I suppose it's got to be done at some point, you know. I mean, we've got it on the Wheel of Pain, so don't worry, you will get a visual on this deck. The whole idea is, from this deck, well, this idea is, I think it poisons and confuses, I think, or it's poisons and burns, I don't remember which. And essentially, it has the attack. It does like 100 damage for 2 fire energy. They're gonna grab a Cornerstone. The Cornerstone is not a problem for us in this matchup. Obviously, we're gonna get Itchy Pollen, so that's why I needed to play. They're gonna judge away my only cards. Sure, that's what you want to do, my friend. We have got Latias now, but we don't really have anything to take advantage of. And there's Itchy Pollen. I suspect they're playing Crispin, because obviously they have Cornerstone, but we can deal with Cornerstone. There's Fan Rotom. I can deal with that now, which is good. I can then bench the Latias. The only problem is we're not benching a Tera, so we're not really getting anything worth in terms of value. So I'll go Water and a Grass, because I'm not going to need my Water energies this matchup. I'll put the Grass to hand, Water to the Rotom, free retreat into the Rotom, at Assault Landing. Obviously, my main concern is that we're not getting a Tera established, so we're not making use of our Noctowls, but I've not really had much of a choice. But we've taken the item lock, which is good, but obviously we are going to be worrying about this Salazzle, because obviously now he can attack with it, if he has one in hand, that is. Which he does. He can also Nasty Plot, which is interesting. But yeah, so here's the card. Yeah, Burned and Poisoned. I couldn't remember which it was, whether it was, you know, Burn or Confusion. But this is a really interesting deck. Really interesting deck. They've got Magmar as well, so that's Magmortar, so they'll have more burn damage. So they'll do 100 damage with the burn, 3 with the poison, and also it switches into another Pokemon. I think, is it a mandatory switch? It is a mandatory switch. Okay, so he actually protects himself from a potential attacker. He's going to go into Cornerstone. This is pretty creative. I'm pretty proud of this dude for cooking something like this. Alright, let's see what we get up the top. Well, there's a Grass Energy, so we're going to go Brook Scouting. I'm going to grab Fez, and I'm going to grab Teal Mask, because Teal Mask allows us to draw extra cards, even with our current board state. Obviously, the only thing about Teal Mask, putting it in play, and that was a beautiful top deck there, is we are vulnerable to, you know, we are vulnerable to having our Teal Mask gusted. But the nice thing here is I can go for Night Stretcher for a Fire Energy. I can then Terra Orb into my pull, and I can go straight into pull. So we're getting a pull off this turn, which is insanely good for us. So we'll Night Stretcher, grab back that Fire Energy. Rare Candy in Dragapult. Crystal. Fire Energy. Then we can go into the Dragapult and Phantom Dive for 200. Damage the Cornerstone. And I'll put all 6 on the Salazzle. Because then if he comes up with this, we can obviously, you know, go for it, which is good. But obviously now, Cornerstone is in very much danger here. So that's the good thing. There's Magmortar. But no, I'm really impressed with my opponent's build here. This is quite spicy, and I like seeing spice, but, you know, we're having a spice off if you think about it, you know. Dragapult Terra Box takes on Salazzle EX, Cornerstone with Pecharunt and Magmortar. Obviously, the Magmortar's there to do more burn damage, but still, the fact that they have Cornerstone is not a problem for us, because obviously we can deal with it. But Teal dancing into a Noctowl is crazy work. What they're probably going to do here is they're going to hit us with what's it called? The Dire Nails. They're going to go into the Pecharunt, so I take even more damage. Look at that. So they've just done effectively 230 damage this turn, which is wild when you think about it. Obviously, I can respond on this Salazzle later. It's not a big deal. So let's go for a Teal Dance. And there's a Lillie's. Excellent. We need to try and bump the stadium, because obviously I need to attack with Pult here. So how much... So if I knock this out, I take 5 burn damage counters, so I don't need to worry about that. I'll set up the Wellspring, because Wellspring can obviously get involved here. I'll bench Terapagos as well, and then we'll Phantom Dive, take out the Pecharunt, put 1 on you, put 1 on you, and we'll put the rest on the Salazzle. Make it a bit easier for my opponent or my Pokemon to take knockouts. Of course, Area 0 now goes away. We take 3 prize cards from that. So now all we need to do is take out Salazzle for game. And now it's in Iron Leaves range. But no, this is what I like to see on the ladder. This is creative. The burn heals, but obviously we are still poisoned. But obviously, Dire Nails can take a knockout here. But we should be okay. There's another jungle, so it's actually going to knock out my Pult going into my turn. Am I going to need Bear? I might need Bear, but realistically, this is my board setup here. So we'll do that. Because I can Brock Scout in for an Energy Switch, and I can potentially do something. Let's see what we do here. But no, I'm really impressed with my opponent's build. This is really creative. I've got to give him that. But if he knocks out Pult here, we just win. The problem is, though, is obviously he can use Dire Nails. He could also just pass. But if he passes, we win with Teal Mask. He's a boss, probably the Teal Mask. Hopefully he doesn't see what I'm planning here. Is he going to take out Teal Mask? He is going to take out Teal Mask. Okay. So what we need then is we need a way to gust this guy. He's going to Dire Nails for 200. Obviously, burn and poison, so we don't get Fez value. This is really creative. And also, he's got the full art Salazzle. I genuinely didn't know that Salazzle is, you know, like, I didn't know Salazzle was female only into its evolution. I just assumed both of them would, but looking at the design of the Pokemon, you actually sort of see it. But yeah, I didn't know that until, like, I played Sun and Moon, the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. I played Sun and Moon, but obviously I never met a Salazzle, so I didn't really, like, notice it, but obviously when I played Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, yeah. So, we don't actually need a lot here. They're taking their time to select prize cards here, interestingly enough. Which is odd, because they should have an advantage here. Like, they're not losing this turn. I can't win this turn unless I get a boss. And I don't have a way to grab a boss right now. But I think they're just trying to, you know, delay the inevitable. I mean, they're at... How much HP is this at? They could have also disconnected, which, you know, that's something. We'll promote the Latias. And we'll go from there. There's a Dawn. That doesn't really help us right now. I mean, I can Dawn now, but the problem is I'm not really doing anything outside of that. Because they can't take out Pole plus something else on the bench. So I'm just going to rock Scouting, grab Fez, I think is what I do here. And then I grab Moltres as well, because Moltres can finish the game up for us as well. Obviously, we're not getting Fez value right now, but we will if he, you know, attaches here. So I'm going to attach to Terapagos, free retreat into the Dragapult, and then Phantom... I don't know why you're pulling faces, mate. We need this at 110, so then, you know, Terapagos can do its thing. But I'll put more damage on it anyway, just in case, because now it's at 120, because we might not be able to get the attack established. I'll just put the rest on the Magmortar. It's not a big deal. Because like I said, we're going to get value off of the Dragapult, or the Fez, once he knocks out this Pole. So that's what we're going to do here. He doesn't really have many options here. He can Bloodmoon, which would be a problem. But... you know, like I said, he can't really do anything now, because the reason why I bench Fez is because he has to use Dire Nails to get the KO on Dragapult. Because then, it dies to damage, not poison or burn. So either way, I still get Fez value. He has to attack with the Dire Nails attack to finish off my Pole. He doesn't have a way to poison or burn my Pokemon. So I don't know why he was pulling faces, and for that I'm going to mute him. But, yeah, we've effectively locked up the game here, because now we're threatening game with Terapagos. We're threatening game, obviously, you know, with Fez draw. We have Moltres as well. We have multiple ways in which we can end this game. And I think they've realised that and have started getting a little bit salty. But still, the power of Dragapult is just what it is, you know? They've promoted Magmortar, but I suspect that's because they've rage quit. I don't think they've done it to, you know, make anything a bit more... you know, like, I don't think they've done it to delay the inevitable. I think it's just a case of, you know, they've rage quit after being outspiced. Although I will say, this is a really creative build, and I'm really proud of the opponent for doing that. But, why do you think I'm benching Fez? You have to Dire Nails for the knockout on my Dragapult. There's no world in which you have access to anything that, you know, you can do anything. Obviously, we had to throw away a lot of energy earlier, so I can't use Crispin to obviously get us a win here. But, you know, I still have the ability to Phantom Dive, so... there we go. I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm just going to Phantom Dive, take the knockout on the Magmortar, put the remaining 6 on the Salazzle, and job's a good one. That's game against Salazzle EX, of all things. Didn't think I was going to run into that on the ladder. Excuse me. But honestly, I'm really proud of my opponent's creative deck build there. That was really spicy to see. Sorry about the small cut there, just had to go and quickly sort something. But yeah, that was a really good showing for my Dragapult Tera box deck, and, well, now post-rotation deck, I should say. You know, we had the game against Cynthia's Garchomp, and now we got to face Salazzle EX, of all the things that we could have met on the ladder. I'm really proud of this, like, build that I've done here. I think this is a really solid deck. Obviously, you know, it does have some consistency, you know, like, there is obviously the fact that you could play another Candy, because obviously we're only playing a 2-1-2 line of the Pole, we're not playing a 2-2-2 line like most are. But honestly, I think the Teal Mass package and the INDs package has proved its worth today. Obviously, having the extra option of Terapagos is another thing that, you know, just adds to the list, I think. But like I said, I think going forward, I need a second Latias in this list. I think it just makes sense. Because obviously we have a lot of basic attackers, as I've already described to you in the, the deck list section. But, I'll probably figure that out at some point, because I want to make this deck IRL, because obviously rotation has already happened in person, so I kind of want to bring this deck to life. So, what did I think to the deck? I know I'm a bit biased, because obviously this is my own creation, but I'm really proud of this deck list. The Iron Leaves and the Teal Mask combo really put in the work today. Dragapult got to do its fair share, and, even Wellspring got to have a crack at the opponent in the Cynthia's Garchomp game. We could have even won with Wellspring in this game, but obviously we would have needed to, have energy still in deck. Obviously, we also had Bloodmoon as an option as well, even though we started the bear, which can always be quite bad. But them playing Judge to get rid of my Drakloak actually really benefited us. So they definitely shouldn't have judged away the one Drakloak. That was a bit silly of them, because either way, you're still giving me 4 cards, and if I draw back into the Drakloak, or a way to search the Drakloak, you're giving me extra cards. So that was a bit weird for my opponent's decision there. But honestly, I really think this deck is worth considering to play. Like this particular version that I did, I think it has more legs than the standard Pult Tera boxes that we see right now. Obviously, I play Clefairy, I play Terapagos, I play double Wellspring. I obviously have the Iron Leaves and the Teal Mask Ogerpon package. I also have Moltres in here. So, the attackers that we have in the deck aren't clunking the deck. It's just a case of, we might have to play a second Candy as well as a second Latias to just make this deck a little bit more efficient at doing what it can. But other than that, I really enjoyed revisiting this deck. I'm really proud of my build here. Obviously, the only things I need to do in the kitchen is, of course, get a second Candy in the list somehow. Or if I don't want that, get a second Latias in the list. But anyway, I'm going to leave you all to it for today. I really hope you enjoyed seeing my Dragapult Tera Box post-rotation build. And I'll see you next time.